Protection with Blessings. Maṅgala Sutta. By Venerable Uttamo Thera. 32.2. Establishing of Mindfulness. Satipatthāna. Satipatthāna Sutta is the direct path to the realization of the Four Noble Truths. Therefore, Buddhists should know this important sutta for the practice. If you want to know more detailed on this sutta, you can read and study the book by Ven. Analayo, Satipatthāna, The Direct Path to Realization, an excellent book on this sutta. Here I present a general outline from the Dharma talks by Sayadaw Dr. Nandamala. Introduction. What is Satipatthāna? To know the exact meaning of this word is valuable. By separating it and becomes two words, Sati plus Patthāna or Sati plus Upatthāna. Satipatthāna was used by the commentary and Satipatthāna was in the suttas. Satipatthāna is mindfulness staying with the object or presence of mindfulness. Satipatthāna is mindfulness which has to stay with the four objects. Sayadaw translated Satipatthāna as establishing of mindfulness. Sati has the meaning of mindful of the object or remembering. So, it has two meanings. Sati stays with the object and memory. The first one concerns with the present. In the suttas, sati was defined as the wholesome quality, and not used in unwholesome matters. Then, what about wrong mindfulness, miccha sati? This is remembering of unwholesome matter. The Buddha emphasized strongly that sati was always needed. It did not like the other four faculties, indriya, spiritual faculty, i.e., conviction, persistence, concentration and discernment. These four need to be balanced. In the beginning, the Buddha talked about the results of establishing of sati, satipatthāna. This point is very important. Only with results and benefits, people have the interest to do it. There are also dangers and disadvantages by doing things blindly before consideration. There are 7 results. 1. For the purification of beings, the practice purifies the mental impurities, i.e., defilement. So, it leads to happiness and peace. Different path knowledge purifies forever of different impurities accordingly. E.g., the first path knowledge, Maga-nana, purifies the identity view of the 5 khandhas, non-returner for hatred, anger, ill will, etc. 2. For the surmounting of sorrow and lamentation, Soka and Parideva. Soka means lost something and become sorrow, and Parideva means crying with sorrow. With the practice, surmount these negative mental states. Here are 2 results. 3. For the disappearance of dukkha and discontent, dukkha and domanassa. Here dukkha means bodily dukkha and domanassa means mental dukkha, both mean bodily and mental sufferings. What are the differences between soka and domanassa? They are nearly the same meaning, but differences in aspects. Domanassa is something happening in mind and become discontent. Both of them are feelings of dosa nature. If dukkha arises and follows with domanassa. Here are 2 results. 4. For acquiring the true method, with the practice arrives on the main road to Nibbana. It is not easy to arrive on the main road for realization. There are many reasons for it, and only the Buddhists know the reason why. 5. For the realization of Nibbana, these results were the guarantee gave by the Buddha. And then the Buddha continued the 4 satipatthāna in general. Contemplate the body as the body, not other ways. This is differentiating the object. Sati needs to see a thing as it is. If it is the body, then it is the body. The meaning of anupassati is contemplating. Samadhi and panna are included in the contemplating. The factors include atapi, practicing very hard or perseverance or diligent. Sampajana is clearly knowing the situation of the mind, and satima must have sati. Natural phenomena are working together. It must have these three factors in the contemplation. There are 5 functional factors: karaka maganga, right view, right thought, right effort, right mindfulness and right concentration. They are working together. What are they pushing away? Or are they overcoming? The hindrances, nivaranas, are overcome. They defiled the mind and blockage the knowledge to arise. Therefore, wholesome mental states cannot arise. Here the Buddha was only sorting out 2 hindrances: desires, abhijja, and discontent, domanassa. Abhijja here is thinking on objects with greed, lobha. This is not the mental action of covetousness, abhijja, which mentioned in the 10 unwholesome kammas. The same word but have different meanings. Here is thinking about desirable and pleasant objects. With the undesirable and unpleasant objects, discontent arises. Contemplating with atapi, sampajana and sati, and these hindrances cannot arise, or like or dislike cannot arise. Contemplating feelings, minds and dhammas are also in the same way. In the introduction of the Satipatthāna Sutta, the Buddha gave the general outline. The reason behind the 4 objects of Satipatthāna is relating to the abandoning of 12 inversions or distortions, vipallasa, with the body contemplation to see the body nature of no beauty, unattractive or repulsive, asubha. To see the feelings as dukkha. To see the mind as inconstant, anicca. And to see the dhammas as not self, anatta. And then, distorted knowledge will not arise. In Buddhist meditation, there are 2 ways to nibbana. Start from samatha practice to insight, and start with insight, samatha yanaka and vipassana yanaka. Among yogis, there are 3 characters: wisdom, craving and view. These can be divided into weak and strong characters. For samatha yanaka, weak in wisdom, contemplation on the body. Strong in wisdom, contemplation on the feeling. For vipassana yanaka, weak in wisdom, contemplation on the mind. Strong in wisdom, contemplation on the dhammas. Yogis with the weak craving, tanha, contemplate the body. Yogis with strong craving, tanha, contemplate the feelings. Yogis with a weak view, ditthi, contemplate the mind. Yogis with a strong view, ditthi, contemplate the dhammas. In one of the suttas in Anguttara Nikāya, mentioned the important points in the practice. First, abandoning the hindrances, with one of the Satipatthāna practice, and develop the enlightenment factors, will realize nibbana. There are 2 ways of abandoning the hindrances, with samatha practice and direct Satipatthāna practice. The realizations of the yogis are only slow and quick results. Here Sayadaw remarked the commentaries. He said that the commentatorial expositions were the works of teachers who had experienced, and not just only purely scholarly works. Protection with Blessings. Maṅgala Sutta. By Venerable Uttamo Thera. 32.2. Contemplation of the body. Kāyānupassanā. Anupassana means contemplate for many times until penetrating the Dharma. In this body, contemplations were practicing with the 14 types of objects and are divided into 6 parts. 1. Mindfulness of breathing. 2. Postures and activities, 2 parts. 3. Anatomical parts and elements, 2 parts. 4. 9 contemplations of the corpse in decay. Contemplation or meditation is exercising the mind with the objects of meditation. Let mindfulness stays with the object. First, the Buddha taught mindfulness of breathing. Here in and out breaths are objects. Sati only takes the objects, and Gnana, knowledge, knows the object. Both of them are working together. Next body contemplation is the 4 postures: sitting, walking, standing and lying down. The body cannot survive without changing with the changing of postures that it can survive longer. But for most people not aware of the changes, because of a lack of mindfulness or awareness, they are doing things habitually, and the mind is at other places. These are connections with the big postures and actions. There are also other small activities. These exercises are in the mindfulness with clear knowing, sati sampajana, or mindfulness and clear knowledge, sati sampajana. The instructions for clear knowing are: going forward and returning, looking ahead and looking away, flexing and extending the limbs, wearing clothes and carrying things, eating, drinking and tasting, defecating and urinating, walking, standing, sitting, falling asleep, waking up, talking and keeping silent. The next 2 exercises are anatomical parts and elements, contemplating the anatomical constitution of the body, direct mindfulness to an analysis of the body parts. It listed various anatomical parts, organs and fluids. Review this same body up from the soles of the feet and down from the top of the hair, enclosed by skin, as full of many kinds of impurity. There are head hairs, body hairs, nails, teeth, skin, flesh, sinews, bones, bone marrow, kidneys, heart, liver, diaphragm, spleen, lungs, bowel, mesentery, contents of the stomach, feces, bile, phlegm, pus, blood, sweat, fat, tears, grease, spittle, snot, oil of the joints and urine. It can include the brain. There is a sutta in the Sutta Nipata called Vijaya Sutta, Victory on Delusion, where a thorough investigation of the body leads from its outer anatomical parts to its inner organ and liquids. The aim of the contemplation described was to reduce one's attachment to the body. The sutta itself was a good contemplation on this subject. With the development of medical science, nowadays it is easy to visualize the outer and inner organs. Some people donated their bodies for this purpose. There is a method called plastination of the bodily parts for study. The next exercise is, on the elements, where the body is analyzed into its 4 elementary qualities. The instruction for this contemplation is, he reviews this same body. However, it is placed, disposed of as consisting of elements. In this body, there are the earth, the water, the fire and the air elements. Contemplation of the 4 elements has the potential leads to a penetrative realization of the insubstantial and selfless nature of the body or material reality. 9 contemplations of the corpse in decay. These are the contemplations of the corpse in 9 stages of changing or decay. So, it involves some degree of visualization and reflection. The yogi has to compare his own body with what he would see in a charnel ground. As though he were to see a corpse thrown aside in a charnel ground. 1, 2 or 3 days dead, bloated, livid and oozing matter. 2 being devoured by crows, hawks, vultures, dogs, jackals, various kinds of worms. 3 a skeleton with flesh and blood, held together with sinews. 4. A fleshless skeleton smeared with blood, held together with sinews. 5. A skeleton without flesh and blood held together with sinews. 6. Disconnected bones scattered in all directions. 7. Bones bleached white, the color of shells. 8. Bones heaped up, more than a year old. 9. Bones rotten and crumbling to dust. This body too is of the same nature. It will be like that, and it is not exempt from that fate. These practices highlight two things: the repulsive nature of the body as revealed during the stages of decomposition and death is inescapable destiny for all human beings or living beings. In all these body contemplations, Sayadaw talked about mindfulness of breathing more than others. So, here I will present only Anapanasati, mindfulness of breathing. In practice, we need diligent, atapi. Effort, viriya, has two kinds: bodily and mental efforts, kayika viriya and cetasika viriya. Mental effort is more important of the two. The yogi must have the continuous effort with seriousness and mind energy. Knowing, sampajana, is always reflecting what one is doing and always has an awareness of the mind states. This is the balancing of art in practice. Protecting the practice is mindfulness, sati. Samadhi, concentration, and panna, discernment, are also included. Atapi is a right effort, sama vayama, sampajana is right view, samaditthi, and sati is right mindfulness, samasati. Natural phenomena are doing their jobs. They are not mixed up. For example, the eye is doing the job of the eye, the ear also doing the job of the ear, when we are watching a video. The 5 path factors, karaka maganga, are working together. Sila, ethical conducts, precepts, has been undertaken during the practice. After the first path of knowledge, it becomes the 8 path factors. And then the ethical conducts become natural sila. Satagu Sayadaw U Jnanasara delivered many talks on the Anapanasati Sutta. People who have interest in detail should listen to these talks. For sitting meditation, using a quiet place to sit. The sutta mentioned under a tree or near a tree, rukamula, an empty room or place, sunagara. Sitting crossed legs with a straight back, in a relaxed way. Sati is taking the meditation object. Mindful of the breaths at the touching point. This was from the commentary. In the sutta, only mentioned, established mindfulness in front of him. The touching point of the breath can be at the tip of the nostril or upper lip, depend on each person. Mindful he breathes in, mindful he breathes out. With the development of the stage, 1, the yogi knows the long in-breath and out-breath, short in-breath and short out-breath. The progression from knowing longer breaths to shorter breaths reflects the fact that the breath naturally becomes shorter and finer with the continued practice. He trains thus. I shall breathe in experiencing the whole body. He trains thus. I shall breathe out experiencing the whole body. In this stage, he must know the whole body. Here Sayadaw said that some had wrong interpretations and translations. By observing the whole physical body was not anapanasati, mindfulness of the breathing. Knowing the whole in-breath and out-breath, from the beginning, middle and the end at the touching point, i.e., at the nostril or upper lip. At the stage, 2, the yogi did not know like this. The commentary interpretation was right. According to Sayadaw, traditional interpretations were starting even from the time of the Buddha. By observing the whole physical body, the object is changed, not the breathing anymore. He trains thus. I shall breathe in calming the bodily formation. He trains thus. I shall breathe out calming the bodily formation. Here also calming the breath. When the practice is developing, the in and out breaths become refined. And then both of them disappear. In this sutta, the Buddha taught the first tetrad, 4 stages, only. It is for the beginner yogis. In the Anapanasati Sutta, the Buddha taught 16 stages, the 4 tetrads. The other 12 stages are for yogis who had developed jhanas, absorption states. After the above 4 stages, the Buddha continued to teach. He abides contemplating the body internally, externally and both. According to the commentary, internal and external bodies were one's own and others. This is possible for yogis who have developed jhanas. These things were mentioned in Fa Auk Sayadaw's teachings and his yogis' experiences. Other ways of explanations see Ven. Analayo's book on Satipatthāna Sutta. Here Sayadaw proposed his idea on this point. The external body was in and out breaths. The internal body was the mind of knowing the breaths. With progress in the practice, one can know the contemplating mind with another mind. In this way, the wrong view falls away on the object and the mind. In the Visuddhimagga, mentioned contemplating the object and the knowing mind. When you are practicing alone, how can you contemplate others? In the sub-commentary, by contemplating on others even could not develop samadhi. With the continued practice and progress, discerning of the nature of arising and passing away culminates in a comprehensive vision of impermanence. To regard all phenomena as impermanence leads to knowledge and understanding. Insight into the impermanence of the 5 khandhas is right view and then leads directly to realization. Natural phenomena are with the arising and there is cessation. Therefore, dhammas are not existing by themselves. They exist only by conditions. Mere awareness and clinging to nothing. Mahasi Sayadaw wrote in his book. By knowing in this way, there was only body existing and no thought of a person or being. So, tanha and ditthi could not enter the mind. Except knowing the body and not clinging with other thoughts. To observe objectively, without getting lost in associations and reactions. Freedom from identification enables one to regard any aspect of the experience as a mere phenomenon. And then free from any self-image and attachment. Clingings are falling away. The practice of anapanasati comes to succeed. Other body contemplations also have to practice in this way. Sayadaw explained very short and general for each of the following on the other body contemplations. Protection with Blessings. Maṅgala Sutta. By Venerable Uttamo Thera. 32.2. Contemplation of Feelings. Vedanānupassanā. Feelings arise in all minds. When the mind meets or contacts with an object and has experience. Mind exists with feeling. It feels the taste of the object. This experience is feeling. Perception, sanna, is noting the object and feeling, vedana, feel it. Feelings are 3 types: good, bad, neither good nor bad or neutral feelings. Vedanānupassanā is contemplating the feeling or experience of the mind. Happy and unhappy are talking about Vedana. In some meditation centers, talking about to contemplate until the feelings are expired or to overcome Vedana. Could it be expired? With the mind exists and Vedana also exists. Even a very short period of mind, i.e., Tadanga, has a feeling, Vedana, e.g., the path mind, Magga-citta. It experiences Nibbana as happiness. Here to overcome Vedana means to overcome dukkha Vedana with the contemplation. It is possible by practice. This is a misunderstanding and an interpretation problem. It does not mean there is no Vedana and has physical pain but no mental pain. At that moment it becomes vipassanupekkha, equanimity of insight. Mental factors, cetasika, are the movements of the mind. So, as a function, they are one. Therefore, we are using them as mind, citta. There are 52 types of mental factors, cetasikas. From there, the Buddha took out feelings, Vedana, as a particular contemplation. In the Digha Nikaya, Sakka Panna Sutta, the Buddha also taught Sakka, the Deva king, on Vedana contemplation. There are also suttas in the Vedanasamyutta connection with Vedana. The Buddha could not talk all about Vedana in one sitting. He taught him accordingly with each person and necessity. Why are we establishing mindfulness? Sati. The only sati takes the object that panna can know it. Sati cannot know and panna also cannot take the object. They are working together. In the contemplation of feelings. 1. Continuous contemplation. 2. To know about feelings rightly or correctly. To know its intrinsic nature and universal three characteristics of anicca, dukkha and anatta. About the 5 khandhas, mind and body, the Buddha taught 2 types, ordinary khandhas or natural khandhas and clinging khandhas, upadana-khandha. They are not the same. Clinging khandhas mean viewing the natural khandhas with wrong view and craving, ditthi and tanha. These upadana-khandhas are objects of insight meditation. The Buddha taught them for vipassana to cure wrong views and thinking. In the Bahuvedaniya Sutta, MN 59, the Buddha taught about many feelings. Feelings can be analyzed into 3 kinds accordingly to their nature: pleasant, sukha, unpleasant, dukkha, and neutral, upekkha, feelings. Firstly, contemplating seeing them in the khandha, observe with sati. They can be divided into 5 types with sense faculties. These are: 1. Pleasant bodily feeling, kayyika sukha. 2. Unpleasant bodily feeling, kayyika dukkha. 3. Pleasant mental feeling, cetasika sukha. 4. Unpleasant mental feeling, cetasika dukkha. 5. Neutral feeling. Pleasant and unpleasant mental feelings are also called somanassa vedana and domanassa vedana. Feelings arise in the body affect the mind and vice versa. What are their differences? Both of them are connecting with the mind. Pleasant feeling, sukha vedana, arises in the body and pleasant mental feeling, somanassa vedana, arises in mind. It appears in the body and the mind. It is body origin and affecting the mind. Mental feelings, cetasika vedana, only arise in mind and not relate to the body directly. It can appear by itself, e.g., smiling. But it can also affect the body. Worldlings, pathajana, and noble beings, Aryas, are quite different in reaction to feelings. When the body pains and the mind of the worldling also pain. But noble beings are different if the body pains and the mind, not pains. Without the awareness of feelings, the mind is affecting by greed, lobha, and anger, dosa. If these are happening a lot, it has acceleration and becoming strong and stable as a latent tendency, anusaya. It is latent in mind as defilement. If have these kinds of experience again, desire and lust arise, kamaraga. These things are happened because of latent defilement. Therefore, anusaya can be said as future defilement. If the causes are there and it can arise. It means, someone has this kind of experience again, this mental state will arise again. If we see something become greedy or angry, and if we see it again will arise. Therefore, we have to be mindful or aware of them. No awareness of feelings and not reflecting or contemplating them. They are coming again and again. Greed and anger are becoming stronger. Then, we cannot liberate from the round of existence, samsara. It was like a ball rolling along with feelings. Human beings are kicking by dukkha vedana and fall into hell, by sukha vedana become ghosts, and by upekkha vedana become animals. Therefore, the Buddha said that the frequent homes of beings were the four woeful planes. In the teaching of dependent arising, Paticcasamuppada, the Buddha taught that feeling, Vedana, conditions craving, Tanha. Why the Buddha not said or mentioned it as anger? Because the craving or desire is happening more than anger. For example, poor people want to be rich and rich people want more and more. Only tanhas are coming. Not knowing about neutral feelings, upekkha vedana, and ignorance, avidya, or delusion, moha, comes in. It is very important to understand the 5 khandhas thoroughly by contemplation. The physical body and feelings, kaya and vedana, are very interesting subjects. For human beings, the 5 khandhas are working together in daily life and cannot separate. Human beings are looking after the body the whole time like a slave. These all are conditioned dukkha and without end. We are even wasting our precious times with sleep also for the body. We are busy every day for the survival of the body. Even we are treating him like a loyal slave. It has no sympathy and gratitude to us. It is oppressing and tormenting us with old age, sickness and death. Conditioned dukkha which connecting to the body is very great indeed. If we understand the conditioned dukkha which binds to the physical body, we can be dispassionate and easily let go about it. Feelings are too important in human life, and it can be said that we are busy for feelings. It is very closely related to the body and the mind. It affects both. We try to get what we like with any cost, and then getting rid of anything that we do not like. Feelings have a lot of influence on human beings. It cannot be denied. Look at what is happening in today's world. Many problems and sufferings are going on in the world through feelings. For pleasant feeling or sensual pleasures, human beings try with any mean to make money without any control. All sorts of pollution problems going on in societies, natural environments and the earth. For unpleasant feeling or ill will or hatred that killing and harming a lot of innocent human beings by wars and terrorism. Human life is not secure anymore. There are dangers always waiting for us. If men can control feelings or become the masters of feeling, and the world will be a better place to live. In the contemplation of feeling, when someone feels a pleasant feeling, he knows, I feel a pleasant feeling, with mindfulness, sati, that he knows about it. With unpleasant and neutral feelings, also in the same way he knows them when they are arising as, I feel an unpleasant feeling and a neutral feeling, etc. In the first part of the instruction, the Buddha taught the 3 basic kinds of feelings, pleasant, unpleasant and neutral. Because by themselves can lead to realization. In the Satipatthāna Sutta, after mentioning these 3 basic feelings, they were followed by an additional subdivision of feeling into worldly, samisa, and unworldly, niramisa. Therefore, totally 9 kinds of feelings have to be contemplated, whenever and whatever type of feeling arising. If we ask the question, who is feeling the Vedana? The answer is Vedana feels it. except Vedana, and no feeler is there. It is just only natural phenomena or natural process. Sense object, aramana, contacts, phassa, with mind base, vathu, that we have the feeling to feel or mind arises. There are only causes and effects. Phenomena exist. Only natural phenomena are arising. This is the right view. Vedana arises and Vedana feels it. Vedana is very important for us because it leads to craving, tanha. And then, tanha leads to suffering, dukkha. With tanha arises and dukkha will arise. If we cannot deal with feelings and cannot escape dukkha, because human beings have a strong attachment to Vedana, a lot of human problems and sufferings existing in the world. It was like a fish craving for the bait and swallowed it that and died painfully. Also, it was like a drop of honey on the edge of a razor blade. Whoever licking it would suffer painfully. Even we can say human beings are fighting each other for Vedana. After knowing about the intrinsic nature of feelings, he abides contemplating feelings internally, externally, and both. Vedana in oneself and others are the same kinds of Vedana. With continued practice and discerning the three universal characteristics of Vedana, inconstant, dukkha and not self. First, knowing the arising and passing away of feelings, mindfulness, sati, is always keeping up with feelings that knowledge, jnana, develops. With the inside knowledge wrong view and craving, ditthi, tanha, not arise. After sometimes clinging to feelings fall away. And then the mind becomes free, vimokha.